So good afternoon, students. In the previous class, we started with the discussion of the internet, and also we covered about the important thing that is about the IP addresses. As we all know, every computer that is connected or which wants to share some information or which want to communicate with some other computers in the internet, they must have some unique number. So that unique number we call it as the IP address or internet protocol address. So for every computer it will be unique when it is connected to the internet, or even if in case of local area network also, if the computer is not connected to the internet but still if it is connected to some organization or within an organization, then if they want to communicate or if it wants to share some data locally, they must have a unique IP address. Like human beings can have names like Tom, John, Mike, and so on, but when in terms of computer, when we talk about or when we talk about exactly about the internet, they must have unique numbers. Like you can see here, 192.168.1.1, 192.168.1.2, and so on. So this series is continued, and we know that like this, for every combination we can have 256 computers can be connected for one particular domain, like 192.168 1 dot. So from here onwards it can be from 0 to 255. Second time I may keep this 192.168 dot, I can change it to 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, and so on. So like this, we can have millions of IP addresses. And till today, there are two types of IP addresses. One is IPv4, and that is version 4, and IPv6, that is version 6. Currently, whatever we are using is IPv4. So till now, we have not exhausted with the IPv4 addresses, but there can be situation in another 5 years or maybe down the line after 10 years, we cannot have IP addresses only with these 32-bit combination. So we may want to have the larger numbers. For such situations, we'll be using the IPv6 addresses, which is the future. So I already told you that to know our IP address, go to the command prompt, and one is ipconfig, or you can have ipconfig uh, space slash all. So this will also provide you the details of your IP addresses, whether you are connected to the local area network or you are connected to the Wi-Fi and so on. All the details you will get it. So in this, we have something called as the host name, and also we'll be having the physical address, that is my computer's own address, and apart from that we'll be having the IP address. So these details will get. This host name means this is the name of my laptop, and then I can have the IP address here. If you go down the line, so it is the Ethernet is about the local area network, and here you can see that this is my IPv4 address. What is subnet mark and other things that are not required as of now. So this is how you can know over your IP addresses. So, and also we discussed that we human beings or common people cannot remember the we cannot remember the names of these IP addresses. So to make us internet user friendly, we always have something called as websites, or we can have website names, or we in terms of uh, web programming, we call them as the domain names. Okay, so these names begin with the names of the host machine, followed by progressively larger enclosing collection of machines called as the domains. There may be 2, 3, or more domains down the line. So DNS is of the form host name dot domain name dot domain name. Like for example, if I open this, uh, usually whenever you want to communicate with the internet, we usually open the web browser. Okay, and from here in this address bar we type the URL name. So like we can have this amazon.com. So this Amazon is a host name and it belongs to .com. Similarly, we can have uh, amazon.in and so on. So for a normal domain name, it can have 2 or 3 and so on. So the syntax for this can be host name dot domain name dot domain name and so on. So in this way there can be a number of domain names, and one domain name will be finally present or fourth or maybe fifth. So that identifies your host belongs to which particular organization, or it belongs to which category of domain, and what type of information you can access from that. So the host names and all of the domain names are together are called as the fully qualified domain name. So let us take an example. So movies.comedy.marksbros.com. So here movies is the host name. Okay. The next one is the domain, that is comedy, which the host name is a part of comedy, and comedy is the domain which belongs to the main domain, that is Marx Bros, and this Marx Bros is also domain which belongs to a domain called as .com, that is com. So here we can have the fourth one, whatever we have, these will identify or these will specify which type of organization or this movie's host name. It is a commercial website. If I have in place of .com, instead of having com, if I have .gov, it means that it is a government. Can you tell me, if I want to have, or if I have a website which ends with .edu, what it means?
Education.
Education, exactly. So if any website is ending with .edu, it means it is for the education. So like this, if I have .us, it means that it is the website that is available at the, I mean, that is been manufactured or that is been designed by the US community. So similarly, I can have, like for example, you might have searched google.com, or you can also search google.co.in. So it means that it is for the Indian search purpose. No doubt that whenever you type google.com or google.co.in, both will work throughout the globe. Whether you type in India or whether you type at US and so on, it will work. And this, we call it as the fully qualified domain name. So what is the meaning of fully qualified domain name? The host name followed by the all the domains together, we call it as the fully qualified domain name. Is this clear for everyone? What is a domain name, and what how it will be present, or what is the syntax, or basically what it consists of? So like this, we can have a number of things: .com, .uk, okay, and so on, .gov, .education purpose, and so on. So these are related to .com, means it is for commercial purpose, so and so on. So these are the main categories of uh, domains, and this movies, it belongs to what? Similarly, we can have .org, that means it is like for the organization, like our college website. If you open gc.bgm.org, so it means that it belongs to the main domain that belongs to organization and so on. Is this clear for everyone? If anybody has any doubts, now we are going to study about when we say that the computers will be having these IP addresses. The task that we need to understand is, when a human being is communicating or a human being is interacting with a website, or he is searching something on the internet, he always types the website name, or we can call it as the domain names. But internally, computer are not capable of using these, or they are not meant for taking these domain names. They always exchange the information. Suppose this computer wants to exchange information with this, it does not require to have the domain name. It communicates with different computers or with the internet through the different networks by using something called as the IP addresses. So whenever a user types something on the website, or I mean on the URL, that domain name has to be converted in terms of IP addresses, so that we can get the information. basically we will understand what is a meaning of a server. So basically what is a server is all about. Suppose say that these are different computers, or we can call them as the client machine. A client is a one who is searching something, or who is requesting something from the server. And what is a server? Basically server is nothing but a machine with which will have a high configuration. Like for normal computers, our capabilities can be 4 GB of RAM, okay, 1 TB of hard disk and so on. But whereas a server can have 200 GB of RAM, and in many big ways it can have a lot of configurations. And this server will maintain all the related data or information. Suppose say that consider it is a server of Google. Okay, consider it as a Google server. So like this, Facebook will also have a server. Yahoo will also have a server. Amazon will also have a server, and so on. So server is with a machine with high configuration, and also it maintains the data that a client wants. Now these are the client machines. When a client wants to request something, or if you are searching something, the information is actually present here. So, and this server will also have some IP address. So these domain names has to be converted into IP addresses. For this reason, we require some special software that we call it as the name servers. So the domain names are converted to IP addresses by software systems called as name servers. So by using this software, whenever we type a URL or whenever we type a domain name, that can be converted into IP address, and through that the information or the data will be searched from the server, and we will receive the same information. So for this, we will understand the concept of it. So usually this is the, I mean, the diagram that is being given here like this. So this is the client system, and here we have the internet, and then we have name server, again internet, web servers, and then the server will be there. Okay, so in the actually in reality there can be n number of name servers, but here in the diagram they have shown only one name server. So whenever we want to communicate, or whenever we want to send a mail, or whenever we want to exchange information, what we basically do, the basic tool or basic software that is required from the client machine is the web browser. So I will open my browser, okay, and here I will go to the particular I mean address bar, and here I will type a particular domain name. So whenever we do that, the moment we type a URL, what will happen, that URL or that domain name will be sent to the I mean it will be passed to the internet, and through that it will have n number of name servers. So initially it will try to find at the local level, in the history we can say, if it is present or no. So if the IP address is present for that particular domain name, and then it will take that IP address and it will send it to the respective server, and from that server we can get the result. So if it is not possible, then what it will do, it will send the same IP address to the different name servers, and this procedure is continued, or it is followed until and unless it searches for the particular IP address. What these name servers will do, name servers, you can consider name servers as like a phone book or a directory. What a phone book will consist of, phone book will consist of, say, the names and then followed by their respective telephone numbers. For example, consider this as, I'm telling you in just in a brief way so that you can understand this. So consider this as a information or a set of program that is present at the name server. So it will have like this, google.com, and followed by here it will have its IP address, something say 8.8. Okay, then it can have, similarly it can have amazon.com, followed by its IP address, say IP address as 192.168, something like this. So inside the name server, it will have the domain names and followed by their respective IP addresses. So internet is searching for a particular IP address or for a particular domain name. So the moment you type a URL, you type a domain name, it will go to the name server. It will try to find it. For example, suppose say that you are typing or you are searching something from the Google. So it is present at the name servers, well and good. It will take that IP address and that IP address will be sent to the server. If not, what it will do, it will try to search this from some other name servers. Suppose say that you are searching something in Yahoo. So here at this name server, Yahoo and its IP address is not present. So it will skip this name server. It will search for some other name server where it can find the IP address for the yahoo.com. And once it gets the IP address, this IP address will be sent to the server by using this something called as the web server. What is web server? This we will discuss later on. Web server is also, you can say that it is a set of programs, or it is also software which acts like an intermediary between a browser and a server. So I will come back to this diagram. So you are a client, okay, you are searching something. So what you will do, basically you will type, or you will type the domain name from your uh, browser. So you are a client, you are typing or you are searching from the browser, and from browser the information will go to what? Through the internet. It will try to find for the IP address by using this name servers. So consider that this is the name server. I will just type it as NS name server. So it will try to find whether the IP address is available here or no. If it is available, then comes the picture of web server. So from web server, the information or the IP address will be matched. So it has matched the IP address. So it will search in the Google server. So whatever you are searching, you may be searching the definition of computer or definition of internet, so on. That may be present at this particular server. So from here, it will fetch the data, and then again it will send back to this web server, and then it will find where I should send this information. So it will again need to know the physical address of this particular machine, because this is the client who has requested for some information. So from this, the information will be sent to the browser, and from the browser a user can view the information or the data. This is how the request and response will takes place from the browser to the server. And this conversion of domain names into IP addresses will be managed by these name servers. And as I already told, if the IP address is not present in this name server, it will try to find it from some other name servers. And there, because in the internet there can be n number of name servers and so on. Is this clear for everyone? How the domain names will be converted into IP address, and how you actually browse some information from the internet and you get a response. We are going to study about the response and sending a request and response technologies, methods. For that we use some methods. Through that we will be writing some codes. Through that you can get some request. You can uh, put for some request and you can get the responses from the servers. This is very much important. Understanding of this is very much essential. Is this clear for everyone? That's what I told you. Web server I will tell you later. For time being, don't take this into too deep. we are going to study in the coming classes the meaning of web server. You can just consider web server is also kind of software, which we can say that it is also kind of software which acts like an intermediary between um, a server and a browser. So to be more specific, consider this as a browser. So this is our browser. Okay, I will not take this name server. I'm not interested in that. Assume that it has find a IP address. So from browser, it will go to this directly web server. And from web server, it will go to the server. Okay. Server is a machine with high configuration and which actually stores the data or which actually holds the information. Okay. So through browser, you are sending it to the web server. From web server, the request will go to the uh, server. From server, again a reply or response will be back to the web server, and from web server again the information will be back to the browser. So browser is the platform or communication medium where a user can interact with the internet. So as browser is acting like an intermediary, similarly web server is also acts like an intermediary between a browser and the server. This much is sufficient, I guess. Is that clear?
Yes, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you from the examination point of view, you need to draw this diagram and you need to write some steps are there. So initially the user will try to do this from this, and why it is required mean basically you need to understand why it is essential, because computers whenever they are interacting with some other computers or when they are interconnected, they always communicate by using the IP addresses and not by the domain names. And why domain names are required? Because we cannot, the user cannot or the common man cannot remember the IP addresses. It will be very difficult for us, so we prefer of having domain names. But in terms of computers, it interacts by using the IP addresses, but whereas user human being, they interact by using the uh, domain names. So whenever we type something and when we search something, so if I go for some electronic gadgets, so when I click on this, I'm doing what? I'm requesting the amazon.in. So this server, I'm requesting this server that display all the electronic items present in this. So this is the client request, I can say. So the moment I click, I am sending a request. So the moment I click that, what is being happen? So it will search for the IP address, then it will search for a particular information that is present at this amazon.in, and from amazon.in server we are getting the response through the web server, and through that again the information is being displayed on the browser. This is what is running behind the scene. So this is the response what I got. Fine, I hope this point is clear to everyone. We'll go ahead with the next thing. Now we will be discussing about the World Wide Web and its brief history. So around in 1989 or 1990s, we can say uh, Tim Berners-Lee and his group proposed a new protocol for the internet. Earlier also we had a protocol that is, I mean, that is the protocol is which is the essential one that we call it as the TCP/IP. Apart from that, like through fetch the information through the browsers and to search non-sequential browsing of information, it required or they wanted to have a protocol through so that they can search different types of information. The system used hypertext, which is text with embedded links to text in other documents to allow non-sequential browsing of textual material. Earlier days, they used to have only textual information. So whenever they were communicating they always have some textual information. Only that information can be sent or received. But later on, they wanted to have non-sequential browsing. Non-sequential browsing in the sense like we can create a hyperlinks. So whenever I click on a hyperlink, I will go to that particular page or that particular website. Again, in that it can have some other links. Through that also I can go for some other links and so on. So these are called as the hyperlinks, and hypertext will have text as well as some embedded links within that. So when you search something on Google, okay, or here I'm searching something, and again if I click on this, again there is a link that is present. So for car and vehicles, so this is again a link. So when I click on this, it is an embedded link, so it will go to that particular page and so on. Earlier we had only sequential browsing, but we wanted to have a non-sequential. From one page to any other page, we want to have, or we want to move from one page to another page and so on. So the units of web are referred as pages, documents, and resources. So the information that is present on a browser or from any domain name, we can call this as a web page. So this becomes a web page, or we can call it as a web document, or we can also call it as the web resources. But usually we will be using documents, pages, and resources interchangeably throughout the subject. But we can focus more on documents, because document means it can be a collection of textual information, it can be collection of web links, it can be collection of graphics, images, videos, audio links, and so on. So we can call in terms of documents. Web is merely a vast collection of documents, some of which are connected by links. So apart from having some documents, it will also have connection to or collection of links as well. These documents can be accessed by web browsers and are provided by the web servers. Okay, so whenever we want to access some document, or whenever we want to access some information, we can do this by going to the web browser, and from web browser we can fetch the information. So the document means it is not just a file. It can be a video file, it can be audio file, it can be a still image, it can be a dynamic image, and so on. So that we can call it as the uh, document. So this is about brief about the World Wide Web. So for the World Wide Web, we should use this protocol, that is the hypertext. And throughout our subject, we are going to study about how we can design these web pages, or how we can design this website and so on. So what is there in the website, how we can design that, all those things we are going to study with this HTML, hypertext markup language. By using that scripting language, we can design that. Now, after studying all this about, so in the previous class, we discussed about what is internet, how it has evolved over the period, and then we discussed about the IP addresses, domain names, and web. So by studying at this, we should be able to distinguish between the internet and the web. So it is important to understand that the internet and web is not the same thing. So the internet is a collection of computers and other devices connected by equipment that allows them to communicate with each other. So when I said in the earlier class also, internet is a collection of computers, not only computers, and also it will have some other devices, like it can have routers, switches, hubs, it can have wire cables, and so on. So all these are the collection of hardware devices, or collection of devices we can say. But whereas web, it is a collection of software and protocols that has been installed on most, if not all, of the computers on the internet. So when we say web, it is nothing but a software and set of protocols that has been installed. So when I say web, I want to search something. So basic thing what is required is I need to install a web browser. Until and unless I have a web browser, I cannot communicate, or I cannot share, or I cannot exchange the information. So the web is a collection of software and protocols that has been installed on most of the computers. Now we'll be understanding about what is the meaning of a web browser. So documents provided by servers on the web are requested by browsers, which are programs running on client machine. So when I say web browser, it is nothing but a software or a collection of programs which is running on the client machine. So in my client machine, I have installed Chrome as a web browser. So this is the software through which I can communicate, or through which I can send an email, or I can uh, exchange the information. And why they are called as browsers? Because they allow us to browse the information. So documents provided by servers on the web are requested by browsers, which are programs running on client machines. They are called browsers because they allow the user to browse the resources available on servers. So whenever you are searching something, or you want to download something, that information is actually present on the server. So from server you want to fetch it, or you want to access some information. So for that we require this browser, so which allows us to access that. Until and unless you have a browser, you cannot access something. Then coming out to the history of browsers. So the first browser that was invented was the Mosaic. I mean, it was not the first. In fact, there were earlier also, but Mosaic was the first browser with graphical user interface. Again, earlier we have only text related information on the browsers, but these days, or the when Mosaic was designed or developed, during that time, it can have access to graphical user interface as well, with simple mouse clicks and so on. Those were done. And these days we can also have web browsers, or the browsers which are or which can recognize our voice input as well. So a browser is a client on the web because it initiates the communication with a server, which waits for request from the client before doing anything. So before it searches something or doing something, it will wait for the request from the client. So browser is the one who actually initiates the communication. So the moment we type the domain name, we are trying to communicate. So the browser is the one which actually starts the communication or initiates the communication. So in the simplest case, a browser requests a static document from a server. The server locates the document among its servable documents and sends it to the browser, which displays it for the user. So the information, like in this diagram we discussed, the information that is present on Google, so that will be searched, and that information will, from web server, it will come back to the browser, from where browser we can check the results. Sometimes it may have some calculation as well, like for example, if you are opening a bank website, online banking, so you may do for some transaction as well. So it may involve having the computation as well. So once it completes the transaction, it will display the results as well. Sometimes a browser directly requests the execution of a program stored on the server. The output of the program is then returned to the browser, like this example of a banking application, or you are doing some transaction. So that directly request for execution of some programs. It will try to find, or it will try to calculate the uh, amount, or it will try to calculate the amount required to do some transactions. So, and then it will get the result back. So for browsers, we have different examples. The basic one is the Internet Explorer, then Mozilla Firefox, Netscape Navigator, Google Chrome, Opera, etc. So these are the famous browsers that we use in day-to-day life.